Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're at episode number 133. Today is May 22nd. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, as always, handsome Mandra Monthman.
I don't know about handsome.
Handsome? That new haircut and that fresh shave?
I hate my hair right now. As anyone can tell, my hair is cut. And
mine's too long, so I'm all over the place.
I had them cut out like all the blonde out of my hair, so I could just kind of start fresh. I had it for a while, and I was kind of just ready to maybe go back to neutral before I start something else or do something else.
When it's summer, now you can at least mow it down a little bit and then kind of progressively see how you want to get it longer.
But because it was so much longer or so much blonder in some of the spots, like my haircut's like super like choppy, that even one part left me shorter. That I was worried that I was like balding back here.
And that day's coming for you eventually. You can't hold on to that handsome head of hair forever.
No, I'm gonna hold on to it as long as this fucking terrible sunburn right now too.
Yeah, I didn't even notice how like dark. For a dark man, you're pretty dark.
Dude, look at my thighs.
Oh,
and my shins are like fried too.
Burnt. So guys, before we get started, want to give a shout out to our buddy Devin Collins, who his birthday I believe was on Friday, and he actually is in Ireland right now. He had a trip to Ireland.
I remember you telling me.
And I asked him, I'm like, hey, get me a shot glass. And he wrote me today or last night, and he said that he got me one, and I was like, yes.
Happy birthday, man. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about that trip, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty badass.
So, guys, if you're watching the YouTube version of this show, make sure you guys hit the like, leave us a comment, do subscribe, hit the share button, hit that notification bell so that you guys are reminded of all the videos that we have coming up. If you guys are interested in any of our social media, hit our Linktree link, which is in the description, which will take you to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you guys are listening to the audio-only version of the podcast, check out Anchor, which is the home for us, but you can also find us on many other podcast platforms. So, before we get started, guys, Andrew and I like to do What Are You Up To, where we take a second, we talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, and anything that might be coming up. Is something on your mind, friend?
No, I want you to go first, though.
Oh, okay. So, for what I've been up to, guys, is, I thought you were, like, waiting to chime in with something. I was like, did I miss something? Did I miss something?
No.
Okay. So, what I've been watching is the new Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie.
Oh, that looked really cool.
Dude, it's fucking hilarious. It's on Disney Plus if you guys are interested in it. It's way funnier than I thought it was going to be. And the trailer to me looked good, but with these reboots and what they were doing with, like, Chippendale, one still being a cartoon, one being, like, the CGI version, I had my doubts. I mean, if something like that could go bad really fast. And the voices also took a minute to kind of adjust because it's Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, and they have very distinct sounding voices, which aren't the regular Chippendale voices, but spoiler, they make those voices for the Rescue Rangers. So, it's this story where you kind of meet them from the beginning, and then they do the Rescue Rangers. It's like a modern day world where they were the Rescue Rangers in this world, and then they kind of fall apart, and then something happens with Montgomery Jack, and he goes missing, and it's up to them to kind of come back together and go find them. And
so they copied the plot of the first Scooby-Doo movie?
But it's way better than the first Scooby-Doo movie.
I cry every time they break up. Like, that's literally one of the most, like, traumatic moments of my childhood.
I remember Scooby-Doo being really good, but for a Chip and Dale movie that I don't think has the sustaining power of a Scooby-Doo, like, we know what Chip and Dale is.
Oh, I love it.
But I don't know if any kids these days would, when there's still enough Scooby-Doo, around, that they would put Scooby-Doo higher. But there's this thing that all these tunes are coming up missing because they're not paying like their bills or their debts, and they get what's called bootlegged. So what they do is they get kidnapped. They fucking like erase their mouse. They put them through this machine that transforms them just enough to get past copyrights, and they put them through bad movies.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, they show a bunch of these characters go through it, and that's half the funniness of it is you get to see so many characters in this. It's kind of like what Space Jam 2 tried to do with being kind of meta and like forcing all these cartoons into one movie, where this movie actually does it right, and it makes sense, and it's very funny.
I was like, I kind of got that from the trailer too. I was like, oh, hopefully this does a better job of what Space Jam 2 was kind of trying to do, but just based off the trailer, it's like, oh, I think I'd definitely give this a try.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I say you guys should definitely check it out. A lot of cool Easter eggs in it, a lot of good cameos. I had a lot of fun with it. So, you plan on watching it anytime soon? Because I'd love to talk to you about it. Pick your brain.
I'll probably watch it this week.
Nice. So, let me know if you guys try or plan on watching it. As far as what I've been playing, I just beat this game called Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, which is published by 505 Games, developed by Rabbit and Bear Studios, I believe. Yeah, Studios Co. And It's a decent game. It's an interesting action RPG. It's a prequel to this next game that Andrew and I thought was the game we were downloading. That
look way better.
Yeah, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which this is a prequel to it. So it kind of sets up these three characters, which are CJ, Guru, and Isha. And the whole point of this game is it's kind of this weird platforming action RPG that you fall into this town that's been devastated by this earthquake, and it's up to you to go on these quests for the townspeople to rebuild their shops. But then there's also a storyline that you have to do and kind of travel through all these places and unlock different areas. So you'll end up finding what's called runes and lenses, and that's what they use to kind of interpret their magic. And so you can get fire, ice, and earth, and you can equip it to your weapons. And then when you fight certain enemies, you'll do better or worse depending on what you're doing, depending on who you're fighting. It's a lot of running around, kind of fetch questing kind of stuff, which it can be really annoying. The only good thing about this game is that you can beat it in under 13 hours. So it's not a 30-hour game of doing this repetitively. It's I beat it in 15, but I was kind of going after a lot of side quests, and I leave my Xbox on, so I don't really know what my official time was. But it's a fun, decent game on Game Pass on Xbox if you have it. It's definitely not for everybody, so I'm not going to say go and check it out. But if you're watching the trailer, how I'm probably showing it on the YouTube version, if it's something that catches your eye, I would say check it out, because again, it's not that long to play, and it's a pretty decent game, especially if you're looking forward to the next one. So that's what I've been up to. What you, Scat Cat?
I've been kicking around a few things. Again, I don't think I've quite found my footing. Actually, when I woke up this morning too, I was going to tell you about it earlier, but I forgot. Or send it to you. But someone had posted a link in one of these groups that I'm in, and it said, is anyone else having a hard time getting back into gaming after beating Elden Ring? And there's just a big old thread of people saying yeah, I'm just not really finding the drive right now, the lull. Elden Ring just really pulled me in. It's all I want to watch, and especially on YouTube and everything. I'm that sucks too, because I'm totally in that, but I'm glad that I'm not the only person kind of feeling this way about
I need to play this game.
But as far as what I have been playing and trying to kick around, is I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise, just the demo that had came out, because we downloaded it a while ago, but just never really got to it. I felt like I was kind of really missing out with this game. Yeah, that was actually made by Team Ninja. Of course, it's a Square Enix Final Fantasy, as is any others. It started off really good with a cool opening cutscene. I was like, man, this game is going to be great. I was totally missing out. This is going to be the game that gets me back in, and God, was I wrong.
It's the first game that kicked you back out.
This game, the dialogue is terrible. I sent Craig a couple clips, and I'm just bitching and moaning about it the whole time. And I looked up, I was like, fuck, man, how long is this? 'Cause I don't even want to play this anymore, but I need to see it through. And people were like, oh, it's about an hour and a half, but you could beat it in 20 minutes just running through. So after a while, I just stopped fighting enemies, because all I'm just getting is a shit ton of randomized loot, and just started running through straight to where the boss is. And I was like, man, this is kind of lame. I don't know if I've ever noticed that with any other Final Fantasy, to where I'm just skipping everything and not fighting anything, and it almost feels like there's one path that just leads straight to the boss. And I was just it doesn't feel open. The combat was cool. I like a lot of the mechanics that you can do. And you can actually change your person's job. So you can use, if you want to, a great sword. But you couldn't be a great sword guy who does magic. I think there's another one where you use a mace that still does good damage, but it doesn't have the range of a great sword. And with that one, you could use magic. You could use spears. There's another one where you're using dual blades, to where your attacks are a lot faster, but of course they do the less damage. So I like the diversity of what you could do.
Yeah, I like a good job system.
But again, this game was just, a lot of it doesn't make any sense. There's just so many conflicting ideologies, I think. Aesthetically, yeah, I'm going at one point where there's a castle, and then my dude has a fucking cell phone with his AirPods in his ear, and then I'm fighting a pirate on a boat, and I'm just dude, what is going on? I don't get it. And again, I sent the clips to him, and just a little bit that you watched, tell me you totally were the same thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on or what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I just remember, the trailer to me looked cool. I thought it had a lot of promise. But yeah, everything, because Andrew, I think I was playing this game while you were playing that, and when he was sending me the clips, I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm looking at. This seems like a 14-year-old kid tried to put a bunch of Final Fantasy ideas into a game, and this is what you got. Something that, dialogue doesn't make sense. It looks cheesy. It's a tad corny, but I didn't play the demo. I don't even know if I will anymore, but I know some people are liking it. For me, it's this is what Final Fantasy is now. Final Fantasy 16 is to hurry up and get here and kind of wash this out of everyone's mouth.
Yeah, because it just wasn't great. And again, that and I was thinking about it too. And I'm like, I'm wondering like who wrote this. Like if someone, because I couldn't really find anything specific. That I wonder if someone at Square maybe kind of got a chance and wrote the story, or if they just gave the whole thing to Team Ninja, and Team Ninja didn't just build it and do the mechanics, because they're known for like Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, which is just a fighting game, and neither of those are anything on any sort of depth like Final Fantasy. So I was just like, I don't know where this game went wrong, and I really kind of can't wait. This is a game that I think is going to get one of those random video game documentaries. It's like, here's what went wrong with this.
Right.
Because it's just all over the place. But as far as something else that I've been playing, I play it probably every other night, and I think I haven't talked about it on the show before, but it's called Slay Away Camp, and that's made by Blue Wizard Digital. I'm not familiar with any of their other games, but I download a bunch of small games off the Game Pass, and this thing doesn't look graphically great. It looks almost kind of like Robloxy style, but it's actually really cool. What it is it's a horror themed thing. You're like different kinds of serial killers. Like you can change your costume. You can be like the old grandma, typical serial killer. There's another one that looks like Jason. You can have the Jason Unmasked. There's another one that's like a devil. And you're just on a small, maybe a smaller version of like a chessboard. And your dude can only move in certain directions. And you're just supposed to kill all the survivors and then make it back to this portal that takes you to the next level. And you can kill people by, you run into them, and then your guy will like kill them in different ways, like stab them, break their neck, throw something on them, or you could scare them. And it's just a whole breakdown thing. If you're looking for something just to kind of do a few levels a night, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'd recommend. I think you would like it. And just kind of knock out a couple.
I think I just downloaded it though. I haven't started it yet though.
And then as far as watching anything, I haven't really been watching too much TV or anything. I've really been diving into YouTube, like I've been saying, just tons of Elden Ring lore. But the big thing that I did watch recently was Gaming Historian put out a Super Mario World video that I thought was actually phenomenal. He did great work on that. It was really good to watch. I think it's almost like an hour long. But I think the most interesting part of it from what I was watching is when he was showing the game and how they're building it, is they had not just OG drawings, but he had like footage of an OG build that I've never seen. And I remember looking at him like, what? Like
the one that looked more like Super Mario 3?
Yeah. And I was like, this looks like tonally completely off, not what I'm remembering. Like, I wonder if this is like a PC version, because he kept showing the footage over and over. Mario World for me is like bright, vibrant, colorful. The music just hits you out the gate, and it's great that would have been very tonally different than that art direction versus what the music and the rest of that world was. And what's crazier to see too is even when they started, the OG world was a lot smaller, and then they were like, okay, well, we're gonna delay this game, so let's do something more with this world. So then you add, more to the donut plains and the haunted forest and everything else like that. I'm like, damn, that was really cool. I can't believe that was even gonna be a thing. Like, this is a lot smaller, because that game, again, you could ask a lot of people. A lot of people put that game easily in their top 5.
Yeah, he does such good work, and it was weird because if you watch some of his older videos, he does history on Mario 2, Mario 3, but like the difference between them is like years. Like the number 3 came out, I think it was like 3 or 5 years before he put this one together.
Right.
So like it's crazy how much detail and knowledge goes into these things, and he pumps out just fantastic work. So if you guys are interested in following him, it's the Gaming Historian.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, he does good quality, high quality shit.
But other than that, I haven't been doing much else.
Nice. So guys, leave us down in the comments below what you have been up to, what you've been playing, and what you have been watching. So with that down and out of the way, guys, we're going to move into our... we have the 2 stories today, but they're both kind of fit in together, and that's because they're both revolving around PlayStation. There's 2 big things that are coming from PlayStation Plus. Now... one is that they're going to be adding trophies to their old catalog of games, and the other is that they revealed a whole bunch of titles that are going to be for the PS Plus, the different tiers that they have. So I want to start with the games that were revealed. So I want to keep in mind, guys, that there are the new PlayStation Plus, which is what they're calling it, is launching next month. So as a reminder, real quick, here are just what the tiers are and then what the price points are, if you guys either forgot or weren't familiar in general. So there's the Essential tier, the Extra tier, and the Premium tier. The Essential starts at $9.99 a month. The Extra is $14.99 a month. The Premium is $17.99 a month. If you go to the Annual, the Essential is $59.99 a month. The Extra is $99.99 a month. And the Premium is $119.99 a month. So they are a bit more, they do kind of really jump. The price does kind of shoot up, especially when you look at the premium. And there's a lot of different stuff that you get, which again, I'm still not sure why Essential and Extra just aren't the same tier, because what Extra gets you is all the PS Plus collection for the PS5 and the downloadable PS4 and PS5 games, as well as the Ubisoft and Classic Games lineup, where the premium is going to give you all of that, but it's also going to give you all the classic games, the PS1, PS2, and PSP games, as well as the PS3 and time-limited game trial. So what they just released was a showing of 56 games that were announced for the PS4 and the PS5 extra premium tiers, and about 60 classic games for the premium tier. So some people are a little confused because the structure is a little bit confusing when you're looking at it and trying to understand what you're actually going to be getting. And the other thing a lot of people were confused about is, if this thing is, you know, said to have 600 plus games on it, then why did the reveal only show about 110 games? But with that being said, they did show a lot of big titles for this. So I do want to start real quick and kind of talk about what they're actually going to be getting. Now, I'm not going to read them all out because it is a lot, but I will kind of pick out a few of the highlights and some of the ones that caught Andrew and mine's eye. So if you're getting the PS Plus Extra, you know, the upgrade and then the premium, PS4, PS5, man, had a lot of strong looking games coming out there. I mean, when you're looking at things like, now Bloodborne's on there, Days Gone is on there, Death Stranding is on there, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Returnal, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last of Us. I mean, Uncharted Collection's now on there from first party. And then getting into the third parties, they had Far Cry 3, 4, Celeste,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11, Red Dead Redemption 2, South Park, Tom Clancy's The Division. So when you're looking at just what the extra tier can get, because I have the basic one, and if I go up to, you know, from $9.99 to $14.99, this is a pretty solid entry point if you're either behind on PlayStation games,
for sure,
or if you're just getting into PlayStation games. And obviously there's going to be more, but, you know, they're only showing this right now. But I would say, man, if you're even comparing this to Game Pass, like almost every one of those games are games that, like, I want to play, that a hardcore fan would want to play. Game Pass does kind of litter it a lot with these kind of either indie games or a lot of, you know, skippable games, where I'm looking at this, that's a lot of good, talented games for a good value. The only downfall is if you are a hardcore PlayStation gamer, then you've probably played most of this. So I don't know what the exact appeal would be for someone like me who's played a lot of these big ones, but on the you know, the flip end, everything that I haven't is still something I would like to play.
I was going to say that that's a perfect point. That is the biggest thing, is where people are saying, like, oh, you know, this is a lot stronger. It's great. This looks like it's got more than what Game Pass has. But Game Pass has been going for years and dropped tons of great games on there, taking off lots of great games. You know, they come and go, whatever their time cycle is. PlayStation has the benefit now of, hey, we're just going to launch this product with a ton of great games, but that's because we didn't have anything before. So now they're just shooting their shot right out of the gate. And I mean, who knows if those are going to be permanently on there or if they're going to kind of time cycle out. But no, it does look good. And again, that's the double-edged sword, is, hey, we're going to shoot the shot. We're going to, you know, drop all these bombs, and you're going to have tons of great games to play. But if you've been playing for years as a PlayStation fan, or even some of these other, you know, third-party games, then you might have already beaten a majority of these games too. So then it's just like,
Yeah, and the other big thing is, if you're, you know, people are trying to compare it to Game Pass, is, and I assume the PlayStation Studio games are just like Xbox with their first parties, are probably going to stay on there because that's what's going to allure people the most. But the thing that Game Pass is going to do that PlayStation hasn't announced yet, or if they will at all, is you're going to get day and date consistently with every Xbox big title, where this one is going to be, it seems like games that have probably been out for 6 months to a year are probably going to be making an appearance on this. So I got to say, I probably will boost up my PlayStation Plus up $4.5 more.
I would say it's for sure worth it.
Yeah, to get this, because there's a lot of games that I haven't gotten, and I don't want to spend $60 on, or at least yet. Like, I want to play Returnal, and I'd love to go back and play Resogun. Medieval would be a lot of fun to play. So, so that is if you are doing the essential. Wait, I always get these mixed up. The extra and the premium tier. So
that naming still needs to be fixed.
It's garbage. So moving forward, though, this is what you're going to get so far that they've shown if you're just the deluxe, the highest, the premium tier. So there's the PlayStation and the PSP catalog that they've gotten, which is Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, Intelligence Cube, Jumping Flash, Siphon Filter, Super Stardust Portable from the PlayStation Studios, and then Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms World Party, and Worms Armageddon from the third party. And then moving forward into the classic games of the remasters. Again, I won't read all of these, but you've got like Ape Escape, Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits, which is awesome. Dark Cloud, Jax, Wild Arms 3. Kind of confusing in the third parties because they are throwing the BioShock Remastered, the Borderlands Handsome Jack collection in there, even though these are the PS4 ones and not like PS3 classic titles.
Right.
Lego Harry Potter collection. So some decent games there. And then moving on to the PS3 games, again, a lot of stuff. You're getting all the old Ratchet and Clanks. You're getting Infamous 1, 2, and Festival of Blood. More Hot Shots Golf, which is awesome. Demon Souls. Third party, you're getting Castlevania Lord of Shadow, Devil May Cry HD Collection, Fear, Lost Planet 2, Ninja Gaiden, Red Dead Redemption. So you're looking at some of these games.
Sizable list.
For the classic. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not as appealing, I think, as the big PS4, big PS5 titles, but as someone that is into nostalgic and playing old games, I mean, that is enough there for me to want to play it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there that I'd love to go back and touch and play.
Yeah, I find myself more thinking too, like maybe like the PS3 is as old back as I go, because even playing like jank like PS2 stuff, I'm just like, I'm not, maybe it's just nostalgic. Same way like when I went back and played Tony Hawk, I played way better skating games since then. I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't really do it for me anymore. And that might be blasphemous, but I'm just like, I just don't really care for it anymore. So, maybe I've changed, or maybe I've played things that are so much better that I'm not dying to go back and play Siphon Filter.
Yeah.
The same way, I mean, Xbox has stuff on there like KOTOR, even though that's considered an amazing game. I'm not dying to go back and play that. I've already got such a backlog of more modern, newer games that are, pushing the industry forward that obviously there's a place for those games. Like, we shouldn't ever lose them. They should be accessible and be able to be played. But again, I don't see that as like, oh man, this is the megaton. No, this is just like, hey, here's this beautiful cake and here's like the cherry.
Yeah. So again, I think I'm not sold yet on the premium PlayStation Plus premium tier yet. Now again, there's still way more games coming out. So if this thing gets littered with a ton more, because they are missing all the big ones so far that you haven't seen. You don't see the Tomb Raiders, you don't see the Metal Gears, you don't see the Resident Evil games on there, but. The final thing that they do is time-limited game trials, which is something I have absolutely no interest in, where you can get a time trial on Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, Horizon Forbidden West, Cyberpunk, a few other games. So
I think the more interesting thing, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I didn't want you to move on, is with these game trials, I wonder if they are going to offer that for new games, because I don't think that they've said that. So let's say they drop God of War 3. Is there gonna, they haven't said, is there gonna be time trials for God of War 3, or is it only gonna be these games that have been out for like 6 months and already been whatever they're gonna be? Because again, a time trial, the same way this Strangers of Paradise demo could ruin a game. I maybe might have picked that up on a sale or tried it, but after playing that, I'm like, no, this is garbage. It's definitely not for me. But that could also be a praise for a game. Like, here's God of War 3. I've never really been into God of War, so I'm going to try this demo, and now I'm going to buy the game. Or I keep saying 3, but Ragnarok is what I mean.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think would be kind of a bummer, if that part of that 600 games, 100 of them are game trials. You know what I mean? Aren't games. That it's like, here, part of our 600,
this is the wording,
yeah. A game trial. So I do got to say, the overall tier system is kind of confusing to a lot of people, but if we're looking at just the step up from PlayStation Plus, I gotta say the PS4, the PS5 is something that I think is completely doable. I will go up $5 to get all those games, especially the big ones that I haven't played. I'm not sure on the classic yet though. There's nothing on it, and we'll talk about another reason why maybe to get it in a second. But out of all of those games, I mean, unless you really are dying to play like, a handful of those, I don't know if it's worth jumping up that much just to play a few PSP, PlayStation games, and PS2. So I'm not really quite sold on it yet. So is there anything else you want to add on that?
No.
Okay, so piggybacking off of the main story of all those games that are dropping, the second piece that people that may make the premium game or the premium tier more appealing is that they've announced that they're going to start doing trophies for their back catalog, PS1, PS2 games. So the first game that they're saying is happening is Siphon Filter. So let me read this real quick. This comes from PlayStationLifestyle.net, and it says, when the list of games was announced for the upcoming PS Plus Premium tier, Sony mentioned that these games would be coming with new features. One of those features that weren't mentioned at the time was trophies. However, Ben Studio has confirmed Siphon Filter will not only have a trophy list, but will even come with a Platinum trophy when it is released in the new PlayStation Plus service in June. Ben Studio confirmed Siphon Filter will have a premium trophy called Excellent Work Agent when it is released as part of PS Plus. There were a few hints as to the rest of the list, although they showed a silver trophy called An Explosive Start with the sound of an explosion in the background. We're assuming this is for completing the game's opening mission. Fans of the game are hoping for trophies that are more challenging, including one for completing a mission using just the taser. We'll have to wait and see exactly what the trophy list will involve. So again, when the list dropped of all the games that came out, they didn't say anything about the trophies. So at the time, the premium tier didn't sound as much as appealing. However,
that for sure.
Once you start hearing that there's trophies attached to all the old games, now not everyone's a trophy hunter / achievement hunter, but we definitely are, and it makes me want to play certain games more. So not only is it kind of odd that Xbox hasn't done this yet with games like KOTOR, or the fact that Nintendo Switch still hasn't even acknowledged the existence of things like trophies or achievements, that PlayStation is actually the first one able to go back to their PS1 games and starting to add trophies to these. Now, the other bummer is that Siphon Filter so far is the only one that they've announced it to. It was on a Twitter post, but they go on to say that out of all the other games coming out, none of the other ones are actually saying that they will have trophies, and also that it's not going to be required that they put a trophy list together. So on one end, it's super cool that there's the potential that there can be trophy hunting for old games, but on the other end, the games I actually want to play to go get trophies may not even have them.
Yeah, like you were saying, again, like I was saying, I'm not dying to go back and play KOTOR, but if they added achievements for it, I would at least give it a try and go back through it. And I understand some people's reservations too. Hopefully, if they do add a trophy list, that it is a proper trophy list. Like, here's something well thought out, not here just beat level 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's your platinum. Even though there's some people who play anything just for there's that fucking game. What is it? I think it's like tap the jar, and you just tap the jar to undo the mayonnaise or whatever, and you can get the platinum for that. So there's people who chase easy platinums, but if that's all you're gonna do for classic games, then I'm just then why even bother?
Well, I would argue that even if they are kind of like Walking Dead, which is beat chapter 1, beat chapter 2, beat chapter 3, that alone though is still gonna make me. If I can still get 1,000 points,
it'll get people
for going to play. If they ever do Parappa the Rapper, and it's just get to stage A, get to stage B. It's still gonna be way more incentive for me to play a game with trophies, even if they're easy to get, than it would ever be not to play a game with trophies. Just because at that point I'm like, well, I'm not playing it for the nostalgia. It's kind of, at that point, I feel like I'm almost wasting my time.
I wonder who it's falling on, too, to get that trophy list together. Are they reaching out to, again, are they only going to do this for their games that they did themselves, or are they going to reach out to Capcom and be like, hey, we're going to put this list out for Resident Evil 2. Are you okay with that? Or is that something you're going to put together and then we'll implement it in the game? Or how's that going to work, too? Because I doubt they could just do whatever and then maybe cast the game in a bad light, get murdered 100 times by this boss on you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm also curious, and I don't know what your thoughts are. I wonder why Siphon Filter is the first one to be announced on it. I wonder why a game like Ape, it wasn't 2 or 3 games being Siphon Filter, Ape Escape, and Hot Shots Golf all coming with trophies. Because I feel like it'd be way more appealing if you say, multiple, because if with that announcement you would have had multiple games going, you're okay, cool. But when you just say one, it's kind of okay, so it's going to be very selective then on what games. If you would have been here's 5 games that we know day one are going to have trophies, I would have been okay, cool, so the potential is there.
I just don't even understand why, if you were going to lead, you would lead with something like Siphon Filter versus, I would arguably, Resident Evil 2 is a bigger game than Siphon, maybe just because Siphon Filter is exclusive, but...
Well, I think it's just because it's one of the games that they revealed. Yeah. But of all the games you revealed, why not be that and Tekken 2 coming with trophies where it's
no, I agree. They should have come out with at least 3 games, been here's an example of how it's going to go, and we're going to work on whatever from here. But here, I don't know who clamors for Siphon Filter, but
hey, it definitely has its audience. So I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add on that? We got a pretty cool looking game list coming from them. The classics, I think, will be a lot more cooler once trophies are at least put in 50% of them. So I think PlayStation Plus is moving in a pretty positive direction. And as someone that has PS Plus, they definitely got me to go up a tier.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going in the right direction. And for anybody out there on the fence, I would definitely recommend going and doing just go on Google and just, look up a list or something. Because there's tons of websites. Because I don't think that the blog or PlayStation themselves have done the best job of explaining what you get with what and here comes with and whatever and how. That you see other websites with like their fucking tagline for their articles. We put together the PlayStation Plus list better than PlayStation did. So here's how you can find it, and we'll make you understand it a lot better.
Yeah, that link will be in the description. The one that actually lays it out perfectly compared to how Sony did it, which was a hot fucking mess.
Yeah, so if you're on the fence and again you aren't understanding, I would definitely recommend going and looking somewhere else. Not to shit on PlayStation, but I don't think they did a good job of laying it out. But the idea that they're implementing, again, piggybacking off of Game Pass, it's good. Why not?
So Daniel, if you're listening to this, I would recommend for you definitely go up to the extra tier, because then you can play a whole bunch of new games for that. So that is all we have, guys. Leave down your comments for your thoughts on PlayStation Plus and its games that it's dropping, and the fact that they're going to be adding trophies into it, because I think that's a really super cool idea. So let's move into ripping it up, and where Andrew and I take some smaller stories and kind of put it on your radar. Now, I'll go first on this one. I wouldn't say that this is a small story, but it's still just kind of like rumors going around right now. We don't really have anything to really go off of, but it is reported that EA is pursuing an acquisition and merger options with a number of potential suitors. Now, these suitors were intended to include Amazon, Apple, Disney, and NBC Universal. So, it's not surprising. We are living in that day and age where every other week it seems that something wants to be acquired or going to a merger. But one of the things it said is Electronic Arts is reportedly pursuing acquisition and merger opportunities with a number of different potential suitors. That's according to Puck, which yesterday revealed that EA has been persistent in pursuing a sale with a number of companies, including Amazon, Apple, Disney, and NBC Universal, emboldened in the wake of the Microsoft Activision deal. So it kind of just seems like now's the time where they just want to cash out, and they're like, oh, well, if Activision can get paid and get that much money, then let's get EA that much money. And some of the things I was reading is that the EA CEO, Andrew Wilson, in a lot of these deals was still like attached to be like the head of it. So a lot of these kind of fell flat. I think they were saying that like NBC Universal was one of the ones that got the farthest in deal making with them, but they couldn't. Yeah, it says it's unclear if the deal is currently in negotiation, but the reporter hinted that a deal with NBC Universal had progressed the furthest before breaking down last month after parties were unable to agree on structure or price. So the thing that was kind of like, I was kind of questioning is like, okay, are you trying to sell it the games? Because I understand if like Amazon and Apple want to acquire you because they've got gaming going on. They have Apple Arcade, and I know Amazon has its games as well. But if you're trying to get people like Disney and NBC Universal, who, as far as I understand, don't have anything in gaming, are you trying to sell your IP then to make shows and movies and things like that? So, I could see it on both ends, but, you heard the news. What were you thinking? Were you thinking they're trying to just merge so that they can sell off their IP for the game studios? Because nobody else is in this. There's no Sony. There's no Tencent. There's no Microsoft. It's like people that develop programming.
Well, that was my first thing too. Actually, when I saw it, I was like, who would want to pick up EA?
And EA's hot trash right now. Nobody wants EA.
For the longest time, they were voted the worst company to, for like years. And I don't think they have been as of late. But they haven't done anything. They don't have anything. They squandered Star Wars. Battlefield, they've driven into the fucking ground. They don't know how to read the room. They have like no big games. Titanfall is gone. They don't have anything. So I think that's why like Sony or Microsoft aren't really in the conversation. I guess maybe if they were going to merge, the only thing I could see them doing is if they did merge with like another bigger company, like let's say Amazon or Apple or something. Here's our infrastructure and here's how it works. You guys are just getting started. We've got the groundwork now to where we can help you. Instead of it would have taken you 3-4 years to figure this stuff out, we can now streamline that, and now we can get everything going up and faster for you. But again, I hope they're not basing their worth, especially off of like, oh, well, if Activision can do it. Because Activision has a lot more going on. They have Call of Duty, which even though, just to throw it in there, Elden Ring did outsell Vanguard. it has the biggest fucking selling game every single year. Yeah. Nonstop for the past... since I was in fucking high school.
And EA, like Activision, are in bad times right now. They've been going through a lot of different shit. And if Andrew Wilson is what is attached to this company being sold or merged or being in the acquisition, it's like, then who would want that? Like, you'd have to redo the leadership in some small capacity. But I just find it weird that, like, out of all the people that's saying that attached, like Disney went to go look at buying EA to do what with? Like, what in EA are you going to do with and make, like, what are you gonna make, like a game? Like, I understand, like, It Takes Two is in the process of getting made, but it's like, that's kind of where my mind was going. Like, are you just looking for more IP to adapt?
See, my mind when I was looking at it was more for like money wise. Like, okay, we'll buy.
Right, now's our chance for us to make a shitload of billions.
We'll buy EA, and then I think they have like tons of like mobile stuff and things that they could do like on the back end, and then that's just just generating revenue while they do their games or whatever. Or maybe we restructure them and they don't do games, or maybe we finally buckle them down and we take our time and only do games of a certain capacity that are going to bring in X amount, That for a bigger company, it's just, here's how you're going to help us grow and make more and more money. Microsoft didn't need to buy Activision, but Activision is a fucking cash cow. And it's not just for their IP, for their other things that they do. That's just generating money. Even if they don't put out a game, it's generating money.
Yeah, and I'm curious if maybe they have so many contracts in play, because like EA is connected to Microsoft in some way. When you have the Game Pass, you get EA Play. So I'm just wondering with how that would change, if anything. Out of those four, who do you think is the most primed to buy them? I was thinking Apple, just because of Apple Arcade, but isn't that just a weird kind of four lineup that was looking at EA?
Yeah, I don't even say it's so weird. I was thinking maybe like Amazon, especially because they were kind of trying to do their foray in the game, that maybe, okay, we're not going to chase our own, we're not going to do what Google did and fail with the Stadia. We're just going to be like this big like publisher now. We're Amazon games, and we're going to put out Battlefield and whatever, because Battlefield, even though they have ran it into the ground, if they were to do it right, that game would do great numbers. There's a huge fan base, including me, for Battlefield. I remember the good days, and if they, as much as they've done wrong, if they were to fix everything and put out like a perfect Battlefield tomorrow, you bet your ass I'd be on there every day playing.
Yeah, because anyone that does acquire it, if that's what you're picking up, you are going to become a big sports studio. I mean, you're going to have a lot of that stuff too.
That was my thing, is I wonder if that even transfers with it, is those sports licenses, or is that something that's got to be renegotiated with the NFL?
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting. So, again, it wasn't too much a main story, just because, again, it's rumored to include these guys, and it doesn't seem like it's gone anywhere. But I did think it was extremely interesting that off the backs of all these other companies getting bought, then of course EA is jumping on it, and it sounds like they're doing it just to get paid. You know what I mean? So because right now things are hot, and they think this is probably the hottest they'll be, because they continue to go down in stock, especially with gamers. So leave your thoughts down below of what you guys think of EA being merged, and if you thought that was a weird kind of four suitors to actually acquire them. So. Andrew, what do you got going?
My riff is also just a rumor, again, why we didn't make it big news, but this one's got a little bit more to it. There's a guy on Twitter who goes by Dusk Golem. I've actually followed some of his stuff for a while, because generally he's not always 100% right, but a lot of his information usually is kind of good, and usually he leaks a lot of information about, like, Resident Evil, or lately he's been talking about Silent Hill, but he actually leaked concept and art of what is supposed to be from the new Silent Hill. There's a bunch of screenshots, and the only reason it's even really worth talking about, because anybody could make anything, is they actually got DMCA'd and taken down. And why would you do something like that if it wasn't from a real or active project? So that just kind of adds smoke to that fire. But then on top of that, there's a couple of other influencers, like Nate the Hate, or another person we mentioned on here, another big industry person, Jeff Grubb, that we're talking about. Silent Hill is actually being remade with different projects. There's one that's going to be episodic, which I think would work well or lend itself to, but they're actually working on a Silent Hill 2 remake, and that's supposed to actually be being done by Bloober Team, the team who made the Medium. And I think even when we were talking about the Medium, I had kept likening it to almost a Silent Hill without like the combat. So there's a lot of people too, and there's articles everywhere now because they even did an interview with him, and he didn't outright say like, oh yeah, I can't say what projects we're working on, but he didn't say like, no, there's no way we're working on Silent Hill. He just did that sly like, oh, I can't say what we're working on. So I mean, I think that they probably are working on it, and that has a lot of people worried because again, they haven't really Silent Hill 2 is one of those games that is held up in like that horror pantheon that people absolutely love. And again, we haven't had Silent Hill in forever. So to put a team like Bloober who hasn't really done too much, and it's not like the Medium did amazing numbers or, not sales wise, but it's not like it got, tens and nines or anything like that. To put them on something that's considered that upper echelon of gaming has a lot of people going like, what the fuck is, like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have faith in them that they could hopefully do something, and if they did do it right, this would be the game that put them on the map.
Yeah, I think the Medium for them to do a game like that, they did it well. Did everyone love it? No, but you got to start somewhere doing a game like that, and if the next game you're doing is something in that kind of vein, then I got faith in them as well. And yeah, it is kind of interesting that they got multiple Silent Hill projects in development, and that could include a remake, full sequel, and story-focused episodic series. So it does seem like Silent Hill's finally getting resurrected and moving in a good way, because the horror genre is hot right now, and everyone's seen what happened with Resident Evil. Had this big Dead Space is coming back. So this is the right time. If Silent Hill would ever make a splash back into gaming where they're coming back lock, stock, and barrel, then I'm super glad that now is the time, because it's like you're gonna have this whole genre just kind of blow up, and it's gonna be all the good stuff that you like. Dead Space, Resident Evil, Silent Hill. It's like the masters of the genre are back, and so far have been moving in a very positive direction. So, I mean, I'm not a big horror game kind of guy, but, I mean, I did play Silent Hill as a kid, so, I'll get down on some Pyramid Head and start fucking his ass up again.
Yeah, let me know what you think about that, because especially if you are into horror games, if you even think that this team would be capable of. But I think the biggest news out of that kind of too, maybe in a way, that would be the first game from Konami since, I think, the Phantom Pain, unless you count, like, their soccer games. I forget what the soccer game is. I think it's PES.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. But that would be the first big game that they put out of their own IP since the Phantom Pain, which came out in, like, 2014, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
And that's a good sign too, because Konami, is blood back in the water, so that we can get more game developers going with new or at least regenerated IPs. So yeah, I like that Konami is back in the mix and not being left out and forgotten about.
Give me a new Metal Gear and give me a new Castlevania.
Yeah. So we're gonna move into questions of the week, guys, and that this week's comes from John Michaels, and he says, "Have you guys seen Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty? I thought the show was amazing and showed a lot of cool things about the Lakers back then, even though it's a bit exaggerated. Any thoughts?" I have. Have you seen this? Have you seen the trailer at all for this?
I've seen the trailer. I have not watched it yet, though. I thought it looked interesting, and I did want to watch it. I have it on my list of to watch.
You watch it, because I know you're gonna love it. It's this kind of like weird biodoc, but it's weird because it breaks the fourth wall. And John C. Reilly plays this guy called Dr. Bust, who in the 80s, he was this real estate guy, kind of lavish dude that lived screwed all these kind of like Playboy models, and he ends up buying the Lakers in a time where the NBA is like completely like downhill. The Lakers suck. The Celtics are the shit, and it's weird because like I don't really care to watch sports. I don't like watching basketball or football really, but like I love watching history on it. So dude, this thing is awesome, and what it does is it follows Magic Johnson and his rise from coming out of high school and going into the Lakers, as well as Dr. Bust's buying the Lakers and kind of rebuilding it. So I think it's 10 episodes. They're an hour long each. It's a lot of cool like episodes where like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's like kind of an episode that kind of shows how he turned Muslim. There's episodes of like episodes that have like the Boston Celtics and like what they were doing.
That's pretty cool.
The rivalry between Magic Johnson and Bird, like how, dude, one of the things they were showing is how he was offered to do that shoe deal, and he was offered like nothing from Nike, but like this big cool deal from like Converse. And it says what he missed out on if he would have signed then was like $5.6 billion. And I'm like, dude, like, so there's a lot of cool shit like that in there, as well as the kind of actual storyline that happened. So one of the things I was reading though was like, you know, because it ends where there could be a season 2 for it, but some people are like, oh, do you go to the next one of like Kobe and Shaq? Do you go to like the Bulls or something? But if I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to kind of focus on Magic Johnson. So because where it ends off, you don't really kind of see the ending of what should have happened, especially with him getting like HIV and stuff like that. So there is more room. But the other cool thing was, it's got, you know, I didn't realize like kind of the actor caliber in it, because it's got like Sally Field in it. It's got Michael Chiklis in it. So I don't know. And then there's a lot of people like the guy that plays Kareem. Like a lot of these guys are like first time actors, and I think they do a phenomenal job. So if you guys are interested in the Lakers or just a cool kind of like biodoc, check it out. It's on HBO Max. So it was really good, man. I started watching it, and I just finished it up like 2 days ago. So
that's something. I'll probably check that out then, because even the other day I was like, I'm kind of not missing something, but I always go back and watch The Last Dance, that Michael Jordan kind of like documentary, because I love that one with the Bulls. That I'm like, I wish I had more something like this. Or I do watch, even though I'm not like a big basketball fan, I do watch like the ESPN like 30 for 30s, where they do like Bo Jackson or like the Detroit Pistons and stuff like that. So I actually really enjoy, again, like history of, you know, what's, you know, the Bad Boys Raiders, you know, these big teams that came up with like phenomenal and crazy players.
Yeah,
so
it's cool because it's like a show to it too. So it's like you're good at watching like this show and these characters kind of evolve and develop. So let me know when you start it, man, because I don't think anyone that we hang out with has started it yet, and so I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it yet. So thank you for the question. If you guys do want to leave questions for us to answer on air, you guys can leave them down below in the YouTube comments, or you can hit me up on any of the social medias at Craig Perales, and we will take your question or send it to lastcallproductions@gmail.com. So guys, that is the end of episode 133. Join us next time on episode 134. So until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. This is Mandrew Montemayor.
See ya.
Cheers. Yeah, we can do that.
Just because that was so fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on with that game. And I'm really glad I didn't get it.
Dude, I told you weren't going to like it. Although I am seeing other people play it, and they do like it. Like, this person on something, one of the things I was on, was like, dude, I'm having such a fun time playing Strangers in Paradise, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, because the game, like, when you watch the trailer, the combat looks fun. Like, the game looks interesting. But it's like, what are you? I don't know what you're trying to be. Like, this game, like, canonically, doesn't make any sense. Like, how is this guy dressed like it's fucking 2000? This guy's dressed like it's medieval fantasy. This guy's dressed up like it's cosplay. And you're based on Final Fantasy 1.
Or a monster. Chaos is just a fairy tale. The darkness, the beasts, this despair that eats away at people's hearts. It's easy to blame a single thing for all of that. It gives people hope to think the world can be saved with a single heroic deed, even if it's never that simple. So I decided to become a sacrifice. I offered myself to the darkness and prayed to become chaos, hoping some band of heroes would defeat me, and thus bring an end to this empty dream.
Bullshit.